Hello, I've written and read quite a lot about my time at boarding school, which I enjoyed very much. This is a piece about my time at home, where I grew up. It's called The Lawford Lane Adventure Kingdom. The Lawford Lane Adventure Kingdom by Patrick Bell. It is said that the past is a different country. That being so, my childhood friends and I grew up abroad in a village called Writtle. Even then, it was a smart and sought-after village, best known for its agricultural college, now a university, and its pretty green and duck pond. Just 2 miles from Chelmsford, with its direct line to Liverpool Street, in the 1960s and 70s, the population comprised a blend of the last generation of farm workers and commuters commuting to earn good salaries in the city. In my mind, there was no social divide between the two. We just all got on with it. I lived with my mother and two sisters on the very edge of the council estate in a lovely house overlooking fields and now worth at least £500,000, if not double that. A lot of fun was to be had with my best friend Philip, the oldest of four children who lived just a couple of hundred yards away in Lawford Lane. At the time, it was a quiet lane with private houses on both sides, but the quiet was punctuated twice a day by the inward and outward rush hours to the Marconi works, which were, for some reason that seems difficult to imagine now, located further along the lane. However, in the 1960s, Lawford Lane was also a fantastic adventure playground designed for 8-year-olds with all the attractions free. Chief among these was the dump. We spent hours at the dump, often hiding inside the skips, awaiting anything interesting to be thrown in on top of us. Little did we know, but we were environmental pioneers, reclaiming, recycling and reusing long before Swampy and his pals made it fashionable. The most valued prizes were prams and pushchairs. In church, when invited to kneel and pray, I would ask God to get someone to deposit a huge silver cross perambulator with big wheels to the dump that week. When my prayers were answered, even with our limited engineering skills and the few tools we could sneak out of Philip's dad's garage when he was not looking, we could transfer all types of baby carriages into fast and dangerous downhill dream machines. We never figured out how to construct brakes, though, nor did we try. The Lawford Lane Adventure Kingdom also had its own water park, being the river, which we fished in, held raft races on, and frequently fell into. Alongside it was a marshy area which we pretended was quicksand, and in which many a wellier boot was lost to the smelly, sucking mud. Although famed worldwide as the birthplace of radio, in my mind Writtle also boasts the original blueprint for the crazy bumpy BMX tracks now featured in the Olympics, as that is what the end of Lawford Lane was like then, honestly. Sadly, BMX and mountain bikes had not yet been invented, but we hurtled along that section on an ancient road bike which we had recycled from the dump. It was a thrill I remember to this day and still dream about periodically. As an added attraction, the course was rounded off with an Evel Knievel style leap off the original bridge over the River Wid at the Old Chelmsfordians end of the lane. On the rare occasion we felt a little more studious, Lawford Lane also provided an old bottle tip where we could unearth and collect ancient bottles with glass balls in the necks as stoppers. Such scholarly behaviour was unusual though, and instead we would spend much more time in 3 or 4 amazing burnt out oak trees in which we could hide and from which we could pelt unsuspecting dog walkers with acorns. The lane was surrounded by arable fields, and in the summer the nice people who ran the Lawford Lane Adventure Kingdom used to provide us children with hundreds of straw bales with which to build dens and castles. At the same time, they provided wheat stubble which we could pluck up in hand grenade-sized clumps and lob at each other's straw bale encampments. It was so kind of them. And if that was not enough, at the St John's end of the lane, they provided an oval green island to be used as a bike racing track. Another world first in my eyes, it being the prototype for the velodromes that have followed since, except ours was even better because in the middle it could be used as a football pitch. As I have said, the past is another country and it's a long way away. In fact, I don't think you can even get there from here. Those were the days when about 5 p.m. my mother used to feed me and say, "Right, you've had your tea, now clear off and don't come back till it's dark." Which I did, going straight over to Phillips, the roadway in the winter or the fieldway in the summer. And without knocking, I would simply find myself in their home, or else perched on an agreeable branch in a magnificent walnut tree in their garden, where we'd sit and wonder what girls were for. With two boring sisters at home, a mum working day and night to prevent us from being taken into care, and no dad to look up to, I spent a lot of my waking hours along Lawford Lane with Philip and his loving, generous family. Philip and I were pretty much inseparable. When he met Nicola, now his wife of many decades, aged 13, I generously enhanced the first 3 years of their relationship by going everywhere with them. As a child, I was about twice the size of Philip. In fact, we were sometimes mistaken as the Cranky's tribute act, and I was constantly hungry. One of the characteristics of those wonder years is that Philip's father, with the help of my Uncle Vic and a couple of other blokes, had their hands full because their job was to build Chelmsford, then a rapidly growing dormitory town for London. This was pretty hard work, and Philip's father would arrive home at least an hour after I had eaten, by which time I was firmly ensconced in their household. He was always ready to eat with his family as soon as he arrived home. I, being on the clueless side, as well as the large side, used to sit and watch them eat, licking my lips and salivating like a Labrador. This is because I knew that Philip's mum would always take pity and share with me the delicious pudding she'd made. However, with 4 children and 2 adults resident in the house, there were not enough dessert spoons to go round, so I consumed my share of the spotted dick, rhubarb crumble, upside down pineapple cake, and other such much missed classics using the oversized serving spoon. In fact, Philip's baby sister actually thought it was called a Patrick spoon because her family always referred to it as Patrick's spoon. The point of me trying to explain what a blessed and brilliant time we had as children is to commemorate and celebrate the fact that none of this would have happened without our parents unassumingly and tirelessly beavering away in the background to provide the time and space and support and lists and squash and biscuits and plasters and bandages and the constant reassurances that we needed to enable us to learn how to become ourselves. In those days, parents simply got on with it, whatever needed to be done, serving their families with humour and dignity. No me time, just us time. The most memorable thing about Philip's mum and dad for me in those days was that they took me on holiday with them. We would all pile into the gleaming metallic Mark III Ford Cortina GLX with the black vinyl sunroof, which I had gone with Philip's and his dad to collect from the showroom on the day he acquired it. It was the kind of car that would make the Sweeney envious. I remember hoping that the salesman would think that I too was the son of a man with sufficient taste and means to own such a cool motor. With their caravan attached to the tow bar, we would head off to a caravan park at Caister on the Norfolk coast. These were the only holidays I ever had before I could afford to take myself away, and I remember every moment of them, and in a very happy childhood, they shine out as high points. In fact, every time I wash my left foot, a scar on the underneath reminds me of the day I ran into the sea there and trod on a broken bottle, and even that memory makes me happy. The site had a TV room, and after we got back from the beach and had dinner, we kids would sit and watch the black and white flickering image while the adults sat in the bar sipping Skoll and Babysham. They would buy us a Coke and a packet of crisps before we headed back to the caravan, where Philip and I would crawl into rickety sun lounges, which acted as beds, in the canvas awning attached to the side, and simply giggle ourselves to sleep. One year, when Philip's little sister was about 3 years old, we arrived at the site after the 3-hour drive, which had been peppered with cries of, "Are we nearly there yet?" Although, to be fair, those complaints generally did not start until at least the point where we turned left at the Cock and Bell, about 100 yards from home. Anyway, when we arrived, Philip's dad carefully reversed the caravan into our allotted pitch and put the pegs down to secure it for the week. We boys started to help him unpack, assemble the awning, fill the water container, and do all the other little jobs so we could get off to the beach. Meanwhile, Philip's mum, followed by the 3-year-old sister, went into the caravan to put the kettle on, and having got the gas flowing, lit the tiny cooker and emerged to help with the unpacking. After a couple of minutes, the little girl's tiny figure appeared at the caravan door and, totally unflustered, called, "Who would like to come and see the fire?" Her mother stuck her head in the door, not knowing what to expect, only to find that the wooden worktop above the hob had fallen down onto the lit gas, and as a result, the interior of the caravan was ablaze. Mum and Dad swiftly removed the child, calmly extinguished the flames, opened the windows to clear the smoke, and we all carried on with the chores. Character building stuff. That was family life during those fantastic, fun-filled, formative years. My mother was widowed when I was 5 years old, and she worked as a dinner lady at the college, able to get school holidays off, during which she picked potatoes, beans, peas and fruit to earn a little extra money, and we would go with her. For Christmas, we would get a new school coat or a pair of football boots if we were lucky, but we really were happy. No mobile phones, no ready meals, no foreign holidays, no risk assessments, no central heating, no internet, just a black and white TV with 3 stations. As I find myself telling my children, if they ever dare to tell me that they're bored, we used to entertain ourselves for 2 weeks in the summer holidays with just a dead bumblebee in a matchbox. We are, as I often say, lucky members of a lucky generation. Right now, it seems to me that we had the best years in many ways, but I hope, for the sake of my children, that I am wrong. Thank you.